With Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song called Footloose, and I'm kind of working off the Kenny Loggins version from the video with Kevin Bacon, which is awesome. But we're going to start off with kind of some of those intro licks, and at the very beginning you will hear kind of some percussion, and you may want to kind of fill that in, and then you'll hear this cool little bass lick where we play open A, kind of just a lot of A notes actually, kind of A, and randomly, if you want to play along with the recording, actually, it is a little bit sharp, so you may have to go to the tuners and sharpen it out just about 10 or 20 cents. So you proceed at your own risk, however, but we're just going to work this lesson in standard tuning. But then you'll hear this cool little guitar lick come in, and there's two different ways you could kind of work this. You could kind of do it as a 4th fret on the low E string G sharp note, slide into an A note. So it's kind of a 4, 5, and then you kind of play the 5 again. So it's kind of a 4, slide, 5, 5. Way to kind of work that intro, or you could kind of work it as a bend idea by taking 3rd fret on the low E string, kind of taking that G note and then bending it into a G sharp, so you're trying to bend it that half step, and actually up to the A. Actually, you're trying to make it all the way to the 5th fret, but then we play open A. So you want to play around with that too. I'm doing that as a 2nd finger bend, and then open A, kind of 2 bend on the low E 3rd, open A. And then from there, then you'll hear these cool little guitar licks kind of come in where you can play open A, and then 3rd fret to 4th fret on the A string. It's kind of a hammer-on, so I'm kind of playing 3rd fret, letting the 3rd finger kind of go into 4th fret, and then go into the 2nd fret on the D, and then open G, and then 4th fret on the D, and then 2nd fret on the D, go back to that 3rd fret on the A string for a hammer on the 4, and then you go back to 2 on the D string. So it's kind of this 0, 3, 4, 2, 0, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. 0, 3, 4, 2, 0, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. But you may want to kind of work around that. And if you wanted to back that up with a chord, actually, there's a couple different possibilities. You could work it as an A major idea, and the way you play A major, 1st finger goes to the D on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the B string 2nd fret. If you strum all those together, that sounds an A major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. Now through the tune, you may also want to think about lifting off the 2nd finger and making that an A suspended chord, an A7 chord, and making it kind of nasty. Or you could readjust the fingers for an A7 by doing 1st finger on the D2nd, 2nd finger on the B2nd, pinky on the high E3rd, kind of working that for your A7, kind of dig on that sound, because the bluesy nature, or go dominance if you want to. And then on the A major too, another possibility would be to lift off the 3rd finger and make that an A suspended 2nd, or you could take the pinky and kind of add it in on the B string 3rd for kind of an A suspended kind of an idea, and kind of say some things around the A. Or you could even do that idea around the A7, kind of taking the 1st finger and the 2nd finger for the A7, lifting off the 2nd finger, using the A7 sus2. Or you could take the pinky and kind of add it in on the B string 3rd for an A7 sus. You may want to dig on that too. Or, especially if you want to make it sound more rocky, you could play just the A and the D string of that chord, kind of work it as an A5 power chord. Or another place to play A5 would be doing first finger on the low E5, third finger on the A string 7. That's kind of an A5 power chord. And if you're digging on the slide lick, actually, it might be kind of cool to take that shape and then support it with kind of a G sharp 5, where you got first finger on the low E4th, third finger on the A string 6th, as the slide into an A5 power chord. So you may want to play around with that too, maybe to kind of dig on that sound. Or another possibility is to kind of work that A as kind of a strumming idea. And you could work just downs if you were kind of digging on that. Actually, kind of an 8 down through the tune kind of works really, really well, especially for this. I'm adding a little bit of muting to the right hand. Or one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, up, down, up. So you can take the A and just try that a lot too. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Or a cool variation of that could be a down, up, down, up, up, down, up. Kind of down, up, 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 down, up. Or something else I like to add is bass notes. So you could even work this as kind of an A string for your bass. Bass, down, up, down, or a bass, up, down, up, bass, up, down, up, down. Could all be cool strumming options through the song. Or one of my favorite things, especially with a bluesy tune like this, is to work some things I call blues licks, where you could kind of take the first finger and do the D string on the 2nd fret. And if you take the pick and kind of strum the A and the D string together, it's kind of a down up, then that's kind of the first part of something I call the A lick, where then you take the 3rd finger and go to the 4th fret on the D string and do another down up. So it's kind of a down up with the 1st finger and then down up with the 3rd finger. Kind of working on the D string but trying to make it a 2-string strum on the A and the D strings. And that's kind of a cool stock lick, and actually there's a lot of other licks that you could throw in, little variations of this actually. You could kind of work it as a 1-1-3-1. This is weird. I think in Munson algebra, this is Munson Blues Algebra 101, is I think left-hand finger numbers. So I'm thinking 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 3, 3 with kind of that bass A lick. So you could work it as a 1, 1, 3, 1. 1, 1, 3, 1, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Or you could work the 3rd finger on the A string, kind of get a cool sound there. Or you could kind of get almost like a moving bass line by going 1, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, which can be cool too. 1, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1. Or actually that intro lick that we were doing can be a cool lick to try and get around the A2. So you could kind of work the open A as kind of a down up, kind of a down with a 1, and then take the 2nd finger and go to the A string 3rd, and if you do it down there and do that hammer on idea we were doing earlier, kind of a 3/4 hammer on the A, and then you could go back to the 1st finger on the up. So it's a little weird because you're going down, up, down, hammer on, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, hammer on, up. So you want to play on that 4 note, but don't do it. So that could be a cool thing to add too. Or you could even take all those blues licks and kind of say some things around the A's in general. So there's a lot of A's in the tune, and you may want to kind of play around with that. And then from that intro part, then we'd be going into our main verse idea. And we start out on the A major, and we end up doing 8 A's until we get to a D major. 1st finger goes to the G string on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the high 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the B string 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D major chord. It sounds really, really happy. Now around D's in general, a lot of times you can kind of lift off 2nd finger, which is a dangerous finger to lift. But that's D sus2. Or you could add in the pinky on the high E3rd for a D suspended chord and kind of say some things around D's. Or because of the bluesy nature of the tune, you may want to think about using a D7, where you do 1st finger on the B string 1st fret, 2nd finger on the G 2nd, third finger on the high E second. If you strum the D string to the high E, that sounds a D7 chord. And it's a little nasty for the tune, but you may want to consider that. Or you can even lift off the third finger there and make that a D7 sus2. Or you could add in the pinky on the high E third for a D7 sus and kind of say some things around the D chord. So that might be a cool option too. Or you could use a D5 power chord, where you do the D and the G string of that chord, kind of work in great position. Or if you kind of dig on the A5 power chord, you could do first finger on the A string on the 5th, third finger on the D string 7 for a D5 power chord. Kind of work it that way, kind of trying to rock it out. That'd be a cool option. Or another possibility would be to do the blues licks. So all those licks we were doing from the A and the D string, you can move those licks to the D and the G strings. So I got first finger on the G string, 2nd fret, and all those same blues licks that we were talking about kind of work for the D. And randomly, if you were digging on the bass note idea, you'd be doing the D string for a bass on the D chord. And then through from our D chord, we go back to our A major chord. And you will hear, especially on the first verse, actually, there's this cool little solo lick that kind of comes in, almost like a little blues lick in the background on the A, where you could go 2nd fret on the G, 4th fret on the D, and then 2nd fret on the G. So it's kind of this 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, and then that gets elaborated a little bit after the 3rd time to go open B, and then you can take 1st fret on the B and do a slide to 2nd fret. So I'm kind of playing that 1st fret note, slide to 2, and then we go back to 2 on the G, 4 on the D, or on the G, sorry, and then 2 on the G, and then 4 on the D, and then 2 on the D. So we're going A, or 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, 0, 1, 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2. It's kind of that little lick that kind of leads us back into our D chord. So if you wanted to kind of follow those notes, kind of A, F sharp A, F sharp A, F sharp A, B, C, C sharp, A, B, A, F sharp, B, kind of an idea. I kind of dig on that lick. And then from that A, then we go back to our D major and another D. But then you'll hear the bass change to a D sharp note, which is kind of the D string on the 1st fret. But you could kind of back that up with a B7 chord. You play B7. First finger goes the D on the 1st fret, 2nd finger on the A string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the G string, 2nd fret, and the pinky on the high E, 2nd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a B7 chord, and it sounds really nasty. Now you may also want to think about taking the 3rd finger, it's just other B7 options, and flatten them over the G, B, and E, and make it a B9, which is always a really cool sound to kind of play around with. Or you could use a B5 power chord, where you do 1st finger on the A string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the D string on the 4th fret, and it's almost kind of playing against it slightly, kind of doing that B5. And what really kind of sounds a little bit more like it, especially if you're digging on the power chord shapes in general, is you could do the D5, and then from the D5 we could go to something I call B3/D sharp. It sounds crazy, but you do 1st finger on the A string on the 6th fret, and then get the pinky to go to 9th fret on the D, and now it's almost a B5 power chord, but in a cool inversion. It's a 3rd, it's B and D sharp, but it's very similar to a power chord shape. And that can really help point to kind of our next chord, which is an E. So you may want to think about that if you're doing the power chord. It's kind of a D5 idea to a B3/D sharp idea. Or if you're digging on the basses, actually, of the B7, you may want to think about, normally you do the A string for the bass on a B7 chord, but you may want to think about doing the D string for the bass on that B7, kind of bringing out that D sharp note. And then from the B7, then we go to an E major chord. We play E major. 1st finger goes to the G on the 1st fret, 2nd finger on the A string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the D string on the 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, the beauty of E major. Now you may also want to think about lifting off the 3rd finger and kind of working that as an E7 chord. It can be very cool through the Or you can take the pinky and add him in on the B string 3rd fret for E7. Oh, got that bite, man. I love it. Or if you're doing the power chord idea, you could kind of work it as the D5 to the B3/D sharp to an E5 power chord. by doing first finger on the A string 7th, third finger on the D string 9, and even working that with the low E to kind of make a really, really powerful idea. Kind of that D5, B3/D sharp, E5. Now on the E's at the end though, there's this cool little lick actually that kind of follows some bass notes. And if you wanted to throw those in, on the E chord, you'd have the low E string, open E, and then B string. But then you go to 2nd fret on the low E string, which is kind of an F sharp note, and then open E, B, and then you go to 3rd fret on the low E string for a G note, and then the open E, open B, and then we go to 4th fret on the low E string, it's kind of a G sharp note, and then the open E, open B. So this cool little lick you could throw in is kind of E, B, F sharp, G sharp is kind of the build up there. Or you could even take the E major chord, if you dig on that, it's kind of changing the bass notes, so it's kind of that slash idea. Slash is, I love slash. So you could have E major, and then randomly you could kind of take the 2nd finger off of the E major to cover the low E 2nd fret for kind of an E/F sharp, or E with F sharp in the bass. And then from there you could kind of take the E major shape, and the pinky could go to the low E string 3rd for an E major/G, and this is going to sound nasty, but I love it. And then on that very last E, you may want to think about making an E/G sharp. Now the out here is just stay on E, right? But then you could take the pinky and kind of go to the low E 4th fret and kind of bring out that G sharp note in the bass. Or if that's a little bit easier, doing it with the E7 shape, kind of moving off 3, that might make it a little bit easier to get to that. So there's a lot of licks in that first verse, but if we were going to kind of try that, there's a lot of different ways. We could kind of work it as, and randomly on the E, you may also want to use the blues licks actually. So now you could kind of take the E licks and the A licks, or the A licks and the D lick idea, and now work it on the E string, A string idea. So it could be kind of, there's a lot of different ways to work this, and you may want to kind of pick one and kind of run with it. But if we're going to try with power chords and blues licks, that might be kind of cool. So you'd have the on the E, you could even make that bass wall a power chord idea by using an F sharp 5, and then a G5, and then a G sharp 5. So if you kind of dig on that on the power chord idea, actually that might be kind of cool, kind of coming out of that D, B3/C sharp, B, F sharp, G sharp. So that might be kind of a cool idea. Or you could do the down, down, up, down, up. And then you'd have the A down, up, down, up, A down, up, down, or even the bass down, up, down, or the down, up, down, or the bass up, down, or you can even mix that up with the licks too. A, and doing the A 8 times, and then we got our D, da, da, D, take those ideas and kind of mix them up, and then that could be very, very cool, right? So through that verse, you'd have see what you can say with it. And then from there, then we go into our main chorus idea, and actually it's kind of mixing up a lot of those ideas that we talked about. We start on the A major, and randomly on the second A, or on the A actually, you could kind of work a really quick punch to the D. I think you could stay on the A if you wanted to, or if you're using the down, down, up, down, up, you may want to think about taking the A and doing the down, down, up, and then going to the D for the last down, up, kind of on that chorus part, kind of bring out that loose, foot loose, kind of bringing out that part of the song, kind of dig on that. And then we go to our D major idea, and then we go back to the A idea. And we end up repeating that 3 times, and then the last time through, we kind of do our A idea twice, but then we go to a G major chord. We play G major. First finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, the 2nd finger on the low E string 3rd fret, the 3rd finger on the high E string 3rd fret, and if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. Now you may also want to think about putting the 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, pinky on the high E 3rd, kind of working that for your G major. Or if you're digging on the power chord idea, you could kind of do 1st finger on the low E 3rd, 3rd finger on the A string 5th for a G5 power chord. And on that part, it's almost like a halving idea. Actually, if you're doing the downs, kind of the 8 down, it'll kind of be a 4 on G, 4 on D, and then we end up back on kind of our A, like the intro at the very, very end. Or if you're doing the down, down, up, down, up, you may want to do just a down, down, up on the D, or on the G, down, down, up on the D before you go back to that A at the end. Or if you're digging on the bass notes, you could do a bass, down, up, kind of between those to kind of get back to that A at the end. All the way through that chorus, you got kind of the A, D, A, or if you're digging on that D lick, A, D, A, D, idea, you kind of work that in the power chords and have the A, D, A. Oh, and that could be cool too. It's kind of doing the A lick, and then when you get that last down up for the D, you could even take 1st finger and go to the G second for kind of a D5 idea. So kind of at 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, D5 kind of an idea. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. D, ideas and kind of mix them up. So you have the A, D, then we'll be going into our next verse idea. And there's this weird little change where on the A, where we did have our solo before, actually it's just 2 bars of A instead of 4. So we got kind of an and then we go into our next chorus. So we have A, B, A, D, and then right after that, we kind of go into our outro, actually, and it's the oh, and you may want to kind of find some percussion, oh, and we end up kind of doing that for eight bars, and then you'll hear kind of that intro lick kind of come back in on the outro, kind of that bend idea. It's kind of like a little hit, and we do that 3 times. And then there's this big build up on E, kind of or you do the down, down, up, or the bass with the low E, down, up, licks on the E. You know, kind of take all these ideas and kind of mix them up, you know, kind of see what you can say with the song. And then we end up with kind of a big hit on the E. And then we go to A. At the very, very end. But that's the basics of how you can strum through Footloose by Kenny Loggins. So good luck!